All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be a collection overview of sorts, but it's specifically going to be an overview of my user slip joint knives. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I recently switched my user slip joints over to the same storage system as my modern knives. So this is a Harbor Freight Apache 2800 case. I use the larger size for my modern knives, but I have been using a tackle box for literally years, and it kind of just wasn't working as well anymore. They always start to kind of collapse, and the knives can jostle around a lot and things like that. So I decided to switch over to this. So I thought it was a great time to do a quick overview. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about each of these knives, just show them, maybe give a little bit of thoughts on them, and then move on. But as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. If you like this type of video, you can also check out my other social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like these and knife-related topics. Now, I do have some knives that are not users, that are slip joints, some collection pieces. I didn't do that for a long time. For a long time, if I didn't carry and use a knife, I got rid of it. And I still sometimes think that that's the better way to do it, so you don't have a million knives sitting around. But anyway, let's take a look at these. Now, I am going to go through this in a certain order here, or at least try to. I'm going to show some kind of random assortment of knives, some French knives, some other modern slip joints, and then I'm going to move into my Jack Wolf knives, and then finally the Great Eastern Cutlery knives. So if that's all you want to see, you can skip towards the end there to see the GECs. But I actually have a few knives that I do carry and use that are not in this case, which, as you can see by the fact that the case is pretty much full, presents its own problem. But I'm going to start with this one here. So this is the Vendetta. This is from Knives of France. A really cool knife, a large slip joint. It's got this beautiful blonde horn and this extremely long bolster. So this is like a Barlow times 2 here. So I think this one's really cool. I haven't done my full review of this yet. I did do an unboxing, but I plan to do a full review. So really cool, very traditional knife from Knives of France. I do have a discount code there, Knife Thoughts. So you can check their stuff out. They have a lot of cool knives. And here is another one. And these are actually both not in this case. I had forgot to put them in the case because I have them in my to review pile here. So this is a Latier from Les Sabots. And this is another made in France knife, a very classic design. There's specific parameters that this design has to have. Different companies make it, but there's specific parameters that they have to use. This one also has horn, but it's a dark horn. So love to see that horn on knives. It's not something that GEC does anymore, and you just don't see it as much. But I love the design of this one. It's just so sleek with this kind of S shape to it. It feels great in the hand. Really cool knife, and definitely should get my full review out on these too. Moving on to a French knife. I'm sorry, not a French knife, an Italian knife. This is a Ferraccio, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Siciliano. So hopefully you can see the Siciliano there. This was an extremely inexpensive knife. It seems like these are made in Italy, but and it's not perfect. There's maybe some gaps. It's not perfectly centered, but it was like less than $10, I think, maybe a little bit more. It's got rivets, so it's not going to get looser. It's a big slip joint, perfect for like food prep and things like that. So I actually really like this one and plan to get more Ferraccio knives. Trying to move quickly through these here. This is a Victorinox pruning knife. Got this one because I'd always wanted to try one. I do garden, so I use this when I'm gardening sometimes. Interesting, mostly a chisel grind there, and just a good gardening knife. This one And I'm probably going to forget the name of this, but it is from James brand. This was a gift from my brother, and it's cool. It's good for my work because you need to keep your nails pretty trimmed, and it has these scissors. These are really nice scissors. I'm really impressed by these scissors. So cool thing there, it does have a pocket clip. I wish the pocket clip was on the other side, but besides that, very cool knife. One that I mostly keep at work, but I have in my to review pile right now. So moving on to, let's go with another French knife here. So this is the barrel knife by Les Sabots. This was the first one that I got from Knives of France. Very classic, traditional French pattern. Great, working knife. Definitely gonna have blade wrap because it sits on the tip. But if you close it gently, it won't have too much damage. Not perfectly made, but I still really appreciate these knives because they are so traditional. Another Victorinox, this is the Cadet. Is this the Cadet? No, Bantam. This is the Bantam. So I love this knife because it is so thin, and you get a good usable blade, bottle opener, can opener, screwdriver, wire stripper. I use the can opener the most there, but the screwdriver, which can be used as a pry bar somewhat, is also good. So I really like that. I do have a couple other Victorinox knives that are in little EDC kits, so I'm not going to show them right now, but I do use them. Let's see, another French knife. Here is the El Baraka. So this is like a Duke equivalent, basically. So just another model with the same type, internal back spring, simple steel handles and a carbon steel blade. I really like this one. I actually carry and use that one quite a bit. So, nice, simple knife there. Here is the Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive Boker Barlow in burlap and copper. Really like this one. Really like this one especially because it is a lot less expensive than the other Boker Barlows. So this one's like I don't know that it's still on sale for $100, but it was on sale for $115 when I got it, then went down to $100, and it's a great knife for that price. I mean, really classic looking, made in Germany. So really happy to have that one. Another one that I really enjoy carrying and using and do pretty often. So we made it through. Oh, we didn't make it through here. Here is the Kershaw Federalist. I just had a review go out on this one. I really like this one. It's my only double detent slip joint currently. So I kind of like to have it for that, to compare other modern slip joints to. But it's also a good design. I think that this one actually would benefit. I didn't say this in the review. I didn't really think of it, but I think that this wouldn't hurt to have a pocket clip on this one because it is big enough. It could be, more of a main knife, but I don't think it's too bad to not have the pocket clip. Nice knife, one that I think is a good deal at like $108 or $110 for a USA made modern slip joint. Let's move on to this row here. So I've got a couple case knives. This is the classic case trapper. Not a whole lot to say about this one. You've probably seen it. Now, I got to be honest, I got this one when they were on sale at Walmart for first they were like $21, then they were $14, then they were $7. So I bought a bunch of them. I gave them as gifts and things like that. This is from Northern Knives. This was sent to me by Northern Knives. It is a Sodbuster Junior, classic case pattern. I do really like this one. It's not perfect. It has some gaps and stuff like that. Actually has a little bit of a crack here. I think the crack's getting bigger on this pin, but classic small Sodbuster pattern. And then a couple queens. So I don't carry and use these ones as much, but I have already carried and used them, so they're not really going to go into the safe queen or collection. This is a Queen Hunter that was actually rehandled by Birdvis Knives before he was making custom knives. He was doing rehandles or recovers. So this was recovered in some old micarta that I had. He did a great job. I think it looks really classic. Good using knife. I intended this one to be my hunting knife, and then just have a lot of other knives to use as hunting knives. This one was a gift from my dad. This is a Queen, let's see, number 11, which is basically a slimline trapper. Very nice knife. I like the sleekness of this. It's super thin, but you get a good amount of blade. I actually used this one to help skin the moose that my dad and I, really my dad, but got in Alaska. So that was an interesting thing there. Only a couple more non-GECs before I move into, actually no, I've got a good number more. So this is going to be a little longer video than I had hoped. But here is Rough Rider Reserve 001. Mine did not have blade wrap. A lot of people, I just said mine did not have blade wrap, and at some point it must have developed blade wrap because there is some, so that is unfortunate. I do like this design, but yeah, some of them had blade wrap because this one they did not put a stop pin in. Since then they have added stop pins to these, so that's like a one arm or razor Barlow with an easy open. I'm sorry, it's not a Barlow, it's just a jackknife. It's a easy open one arm jackknife. This is another Rough Rider. I've actually have a bunch of other Rough Riders, but they're in my like giveaway bag, so they're ones that I'll give to people if somebody at work needs a knife or something. But this one is a keeper because I think it's so interesting. I really like the red bone on this. I believe that this has brass bolsters, but they might just be like nickel silver that has really yellowed. But it's a trapper. It has a normal steel 440A or whatever Rough Rider uses clip point, but then the spay blade is actually ceramic. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty unique. Rough Rider does some unique things, and this is one that I thought was worth keeping and using. So I don't actually carry either of those very much, but they're ones that I've kept. Here is a one-off custom Jeffrey Mitchell. I kind of helped with the input on the design. It's got silver twill carbon fiber, Damasteel blade. It's like a spear point sodbuster is kind of what I was going for when I was describing the design to him. This one, I've actually tried to sell it a couple times, but it came without a perfect edge. I've also dropped it, and he kind of repaired it. The silver twill has change color a little bit, so it's cool to have a custom knife that it is really like a custom for me, but I just don't have a lot of luck with custom knives in general. One last row here of non-GEC or Jack Wolf knives. So here is the Collector Knives exclusive Lion Steel Dom. Well, this is the Slim Dom in carbon fiber. Really like this one. It's got these cool checkered handles here with the faux bolster. Really classic sheepfoot blade, M390. I haven't had any issue with the steel as some people did. And really nice action. Not super traditional with the rounded back spring and everything. But I really like this knife. I wish that the flat screws here were on this side, and that this was like, just a flat screw versus, and then had the open side on this side. That way, it looked a little more traditional, but really like that knife. Here is the traditional pocket knives Ohio River Jack. This is kind of a unique modern slip joint. There are some Rough Rider Reserve knives, I believe, that have two main blades. I don't know if there are any that have two main blades. There is one that has two main blades from the same pivot, but this was, I got this one for review, and I really thought it was cool that it had these two hefty blades. Here's a spear point, and then there's a Warncliffe here on this other side. So really kind of a hefty modern slip joint. You could do serious cutting with this. You can get a good grip. It's actually really comfortable in the hand. I was really impressed by these. I actually kept a second one here. This is the Jig Titanium version, which I kept in large part because I love this Jig Titanium. I think Austin, and QSP, I believe, made these, did a great job of these. So this one's very pinchable. It has this cool saber ground sheepfoot. Really love that. great looking knife. You can see the C Risner on there, which is the name of traditional pocket knives also. So very, very cool knife. These have been on sale for a pretty good price. I think around $100. So I do have a discount code and an affiliate link for traditional pocket knives you can use on those also. And then another traditional pocket knives. Now this one has a different jigging pattern, but this is another QSP, I believe traditional pocket knives exclusive because it has the jigging. This is the Hedgehog. And one thing here, I'm not always super big into razor blades, razor blade shapes, especially because they're often not ground super thin. But this one is ground, like it's not showing it well, but ground extremely thin. I mean, it's not gonna show it here, maybe, but really, really thin. So I was really impressed with the grind on that knife. And so that was a large part of why I like to use it. It just cuts really well. So let's move into these Jack Wolf knives. I did an overview, like a ranking of all of the Jack Wolf knives that came out in 2022. And so I'm gonna go through these relatively quickly. So we've got the first one here, the Sharpshooter Jack. This is a gunstock pattern. Really love how Ben designed this. Super comfortable in the hand. And really, I think my favorite gunstock shape of any that I've seen. So very cool. Then the laid back Jack. So this is the sway back. Now, this one is, you know, sway backs are something that, excuse me, a lot of people really like. I think a lot of people are excited about this one. I got this green, which is really cool. I think it kind of gives it like a viperish look. Really good size too. I did try to lower the kick a little bit on this one after having it for a while. You can kind of catch your finger on there if you really push down in. It's not a practical issue. I don't really think that you would ever catch your, you know, cut yourself or anything. But anyway, here's the little bro. This actually didn't get released. They had some blade wrap. Mine, I sharpened it out. I think I might need to sharpen it again, actually. But these had some blade wrap due to kind of factory tolerances, I believe. Ben showed me the design and how it shouldn't hit the back spring, but the edge was. And we really kind of did a deep dive at the rendezvous and saw what was happening. Took a slow-mo video and everything. But I really think that this is a nice little pattern, so I'm sure it will get fixed up and come out soon. Now, probably still my favorite of the Jack Wolf knives models because it is a Barlow. This is the Midnight Jack. So awesome, you know, coffin handle shape, classic sheepfoot, just a great, very cool, perfect example of how Ben, you know, takes a traditional design and just kind of adds a modern flair to it. Here is the K9 Jack. I didn't rank this one highly, but it's kind of grown on me. I really like the scales that I got here, or the covers. Then this has a really big kind of, I don't know, not big, but just kind of thick spear point blade. So definitely a classic dog leg pattern there. Probably should have moved quicker through the first few knives here. But first few of the non-Jack Wolfs and GECs, because these GECs are going to take a little while here. But this is the Benny's Clip, biggest of the Jack Wolf knives. Lanny's Clip interpretation, great knife. I got to tell you, these Jack Wolf knives are really awesome. Like all of these knives, truthfully, or well, maybe not all of them to be honest, but especially the Jack Wolf knives so far. Like when I'm opening these, I'm like, man, I should carry this one today. Man, I should carry this one today. So this is the Vampire Jack. This is a swell center, kind of a coffin handled swell center. Love that spear point, super pointy spear point. Really ergonomic in the hand actually, so I really like this one a lot. Then we have the Cyborg Jack. So this is one that has this kind of really futuristic handle shape with all these facets to it. And really cool clip point. I would have loved to have seen actually a Tonto clip point. I talked about that in my video, but I think the Cyborg is like, it's got the traditional on the blade and the modern on the handle. So very cool knife. And I wouldn't hate to see some more modern blade shapes from Jack Wolf knives. I think you could keep them, you know, the modern interpretations of classic designs, I think is what it says on the website. I think you could keep that and do a more modern blade shape on some of them. This is the Venom Jack, I believe. Yeah, I should know all these, but Venom Jack here, very good user. This thing slices through cardboard like crazy, so that's a great one for that. Let's see. We have the low drag jack. I think one of the most highly anticipated. This is a teardrop jack with a super bulbous spear point. I really love that spear point. It's so, you know, so much thinner here than at the belly. Just a really cool knife. Really well done. Tip sits super deep. Really happy with that one. And then the Javelina jack. So this is a sow belly. Really sleek again. This one is I think a good size. You can get a full 4-finger grip. It feels good in the hand, but it's not too big. And a really nice clip point. Ben does a great job of designing those clip points. Sorry, I keep coughing here. And then the most recent is the Big Bro Jack. So I did a review on this one really recently. Very classic, just a classic regular jack. In the video I talk about it being possibly towards a jumbo jack, but really just a large classic jackknife. I think probably the best Jack Wolf Knives model to get modern knife enthusiasts into slip joints. So I think that does it on the non-GECs. So let's move into those GECs. I'm just going to go down the line here. So this is a 14 TC. This one was a gift to me by Rick K. He has really gotten into GECs, and now he's an active member of the Barlow Bearcat Club, which if you love Barlows, first 3 at least of these are going to be Barlows. Check out the Barlow Bearcat Club. And this turned me into a fan of the 14. I really like this little knife. I have carried and used it a good bit also. This is my oldest knife in this box, and this is the number 15 TC, so this is kind of the standard size, and this one I have carried and used a lot, probably the most of any knife I have. This is what got me into or back into traditional knives. I saw this on Blade Forums. It was a smooth ivory bone version, and knew I had to get one, picked one up, and here we are. So about 10 years later, actually, I'm going to do an article about the fact that I've had that for 10 years this year. This is the 86 2AB. This is a Barlow. It's a stainless steel Barlow, so I really like that because on a using knife, like, you know, these all are, I like stainless steel. I think that it's a good option. This has this really cool 2 acorn stamp on the shield or the bolster, which I do really appreciate, and has this really nice natural bone. I actually got an S version of this as a backup, and then I was like, why do I need a backup, you know? But I think that this is one of the best knives GEC has made as a practical, you know, carry knife. So really love the 86 2AB. What do we have next here? So this is the 35 Wiki Ute. This one was given to me by Charlie. It doesn't have the Way North stamp, unfortunately. I really wish that it did. But it is a Way North knife. So since Charlie gave this one to me, I have carried and used it and sharpened it. Not a lot of use, to be honest, but I really appreciate that. Very, you know, means a lot to me that Charlie sent that to me. So another Charlie Campagna SFO. This is the number 98 Texas camp knife. And this one I also have carried and used a lot. I have carried and used this knife camping quite a lot. I really like it. It is huge. It is a little bit hard to carry for a slip joint. I do think that the bail is a good addition. You can put, I've often used a pocket hook on it. But, you know, the all super useful. I've used this all a lot. It has a nice, pretty much a full-size sheep foot blade, but on this knife it's a secondary. And then it has this can opener and bottle opener, which works beautifully. I've used that a lot. I do actually eat canned food quite a bit. I prep my meals for work throughout the week and use canned food in that pretty frequently. So really love that knife. I got my initials on it, as you saw there. This is a number 94 or 49? 94 in blue bone. I got this one because I wanted a blue knife, basically, blue traditional to carry, blue GEC to carry. But I really like it. I think, this one is another one that feels good in the hand, kind of a classic curved jack pattern, beautiful blue handles. So nothing real like special sentimental wise about this, but beautiful action, and I really like the color. This is a 35 Churchill in rotten banana bone, I believe. It might just be smooth banana bone, but you can see the banana shield. I think this was the first banana shield that they used, and that's why I got it. So really cool. I also think that this is a great practical blade shape combination with this really thin clip point and then a really, really thin sheep foot blade. This is a number 97, excuse me again, Allegheny. This was given to me by Gary Kiefer, who this is his SFO. This is his kind of, I believe, trademarked shield. It's a pretty cool shield. It's not a propeller exactly, but it's similar to a propeller. I like the saber grind on the double pull on these. A lot of people thought the pull was too light. It is kind of light, but I still really like that knife. I've actually used it quite a bit too. This one is an SFA. They didn't call them SFAs at the time. They called them parts knives, but a special factory assembly from the 2016 maybe Rendezvous. Let's see when it's marked. So it says 12, but they use for parts knives old parts, so I don't remember which Rendezvous. I've been to the ones 2014 through now, but just a ridiculously big, knife. And I've also carried and used this one quite a bit. A lot of them I have polished the blades after getting, heavy patina. But the big thing I love about this knife is this massive secondary clip point. So really cool there. Moving on. This one is an 82, 81. I always get those mixed up. Yeah, 82. Possum Skinner. So this is, again, one of the most practical blade shape combinations, I believe, from GEC. Really nice, long, slender clip point, and then a really nice, long Wharncliffe on a single spring. So it's nice and thin. I have added these pseudo easy open notches to get at those nail nicks a little easier because they sit pretty low. But I love this knife. I have used it a lot. I actually used it to help cut out the foam here in this. So great knife. This is a Viper, 47 Viper. This one is from the 2020 run. 2020 with, all of the craziness, was a year that I actually got into buying all of the knives in a run, which I had never done before and I don't do now. So I believe I got all of the 47s and 74s that came out, and this is the one that stuck around. I love this burlap micarta. I love the shield, and it's a classic sway back. Moving on, you can see there's kind of a theme or a organization here. It goes bone handles, micarta, there's a random wood one thrown in, and then what are these ones? Acrylics. So let's see, the next one here is this is my user Northwoods. This is the Northwoods Heritage Jack. Love this knife. I believe I wrote an article on it as well as video. Frosted mini wheats micarta handle, very cool, very unique, based on the Jess Crouch knives, which this stamp that they use on all their knives is based on. So really cool knife, beautiful action. Really love this one. I haven't carried it recently, so I actually kind of feel like carrying it, but I felt that way about a lot of these knives. This is a 44 Buffalo Jack in Cocobolo, and this is one that I have because I wanted to have a gun stock. I think this is a super well done and classic gun stock. The shape is beautiful. It's got the brass bolsters and hardware. Great looking shield. I actually broke the pen blade on this because it was off center and I was trying to center it, and then GEC put a new one on. So thankfully they were able to do that. And I have sharpened this clip point. It's a little different shape than when it comes from the factory because it had some blade wrap, but still a knife that I really like, and you know, I think a really classic knife from GEC. This one is the number 71 bullnose. So the bullbuster, not the bullbuster, that's the larger version, the sodbuster from GEC. This one was actually a gift from Ken of Blue Creek Cutlery for my wedding. So really means a lot to me. I've bought a lot of knives from Ken, and I got to meet him a few times at the Rendezvous. So this is one that I've really enjoyed carrying and using. Great user knife, and you know, like I say, it means a lot. Let's see, only two more here. So we have a number 22. This is in church glass acrylic, I believe. This is one that I got because I had a 22 in ebony, really loved it, and in one of my crazy sell-offs, I sold it and regretted it, and I haven't been able to find it, or hadn't been able to, so I bought this one. These are pretty rare. They didn't make a lot of the 22s. I hope they make more, but just a tiny little knife, the smallest knife other than the keychain knife that GEC has made. But it has a beautiful clip point. It's got a secondary pen. Now, I don't like pen in front secondaries, but I dropped this pen blade a lot, dropped the kick a lot. So it sits nice and deep. On my other one, I actually turned it into a coping blade. So haven't done that on that one, but I do think that that's a better blade shape combination. And then finally, the glitter gold. So I love glitter gold. This is also an SFA. This is a special factory assembly, 2018 Rendezvous, maybe 17, I don't know. But this one I have carried and used a lot. I actually ground the tip down some. I forget, maybe I damaged the tip, but carried and used it a lot. This is the American Jack. Yeah, American Jack. 77 is the Yankee Jack, I believe. But I might have that switched. So just a beautiful knife. I love that glitter gold. I have an article on it also. And that's pretty much the carry collection, the user collection. So if you've enjoyed the video, like I said, make sure you subscribe and check out my other videos. I have videos on most, if not all, of these knives. So I appreciate you watching along. This is a long video here. I love sharing these knives. I love carrying and using these knives. So thank you for watching. And as always, don't forget to go out and do good.